Hello students, this is your teacher Manish, and today we are going to get into details of project planning. Having seen project life cycle, having seen software project management framework, it's time for us to get into details of planning. And students, you would have noted me repeating number of words like estimation, resource planning, training planning, software quality assurance. Quality is the word which I have repeated number of times in project life cycle as well as in framework. Okay, so these are the things which will come across number of times in this video, and you need to understand them from different perspective. From the framework perspective, where do they lie? From the life cycle perspective, where do they lie? And from the planning perspective, what is the significance of these words? Okay, so they are going to mean the same in each of these areas, but what changes is probably their perception, where actually they lie in overall framework, overall life cycle. Okay, so let us get details into project planning. So what I have done is I have listed down two important tasks which are a part of project planning, and then I have in the other side I have listed down what are the objectives of those tasks. Why do we need to do those tasks? What is the goal? What is the plan? What is the reason that we have to kind of do those tasks, and probably what is the deliverable out of those tasks, what is the outcome of those tasks. Okay, so one of the most important tasks of project planning is getting the estimations baseline. So when I say estimation, you need to size the software, and the reason to size the software is finally you need to understand or lay down what are the total efforts that are required to develop the complete software, right from requirements capture phase probably to deployment phase. What is the efforts? Because once you understand the efforts, it becomes very easy for you to lay down the schedule, and schedule is nothing but splitting the activities on a timeline. Okay, so what is the objective of estimation task? As I said, to arrive at size and effort estimation, and then based on that we schedule the deliverables that are getting committed. Okay, now you are committed to give working software at the end of life cycle, but the deliverables which get generated in the intermediate phases are also committed deliverables, because you need to baseline the requirements, you need to get your customer sign off the requirements, you need to get your architecture diagram, design, everything baseline. Okay, finally the software which you deliver to your customer, okay, if the IPR is going to be, intellectual property rights are going to be with the customer, because you are developing a customized software, then you have to also deliver the source code. Okay, so you need to actually lay down the complete schedule of your deliverables, and all the deliverables in each phases, or all the output in each phases are going to be ideally deliverables for your entire life cycle. Okay, so next tasks, it's a high level, a planning task, and there are number of plans that get generated as a part of this task. Okay, so some of the plans I have listed down here. Okay, I have listed down risk planning, resource planning, I have also listed down training planning. So let us first understand these three plans. Okay, so what is risk planning, and why do you need to generate a plan for that? Well, we have spoken this in my initial previous videos as well, that risk is an event which when occurs puts your project into jeopardy. And when I say jeopardy, you might overshoot on timeline, you might overshoot on cost, or you might get compromised on quality. Finally, outcome of that is not satisfied or unsatisfied customer and unsatisfied team members or disgruntled partners. So finally it is a problem. Okay, so what do you do actually as a part of risk planning is you actually identify all the risks. You identify all the risks, you analyze those risks, and you put across a mitigation plan. Okay, now let me give you a very easy example, simple example. Okay, so as a project manager, I identify that developing a software which requires a niche skills, okay, the risk is that while I am into critical phase of software development, I might lose my key resources who have niche skills. When I say lose my key resources, it might be due to attrition. They might resign and go. So what is that I need to do? I have identified this as a risk. So I will get into details. What are the niche skills? Okay, are they easily available in market? Does my organization have similar skills, resources working on some other projects? Do I have such kind of resources available on bench? If I have to go and recruit them from the market, what might be the lead time that I might take? Okay, so I will analyze that risk and accordingly I will put a mitigation plan. So if a mitigation plan in my analysis, if I could find that there is a group within my organization which has lot of such competencies, although this is a niche skills, there is a competency built over there. So as a mitigation plan, I will go and open up my channel with that group saying that, look, I am delivering this kind of project, you happen to have such kind of resources available with you. So if at all I lose my team, will you be able to help me out? Okay, so I have started building a mitigation plan. I will involve those people or that team as a part of review process, as a part of external consultancy, so that they are aware of my proceedings. So what I have done, I have started thinking of what probable activities, measures I can take if at all I start losing these people, if at all I start losing my team. Okay, so this is how a risk gets identified, and there can be n number of risks. There can be planning risk, there can be management risk, there can be technology risk, there can be infrastructure risk, it can be a risk as large as a natural calamity. Okay, so you can lay down all the risks. You can refer to the closure reports of other projects and try to find out what are the risks that those projects have identified and whether those risks apply to you or not. See, a very shrewd project manager will not reinvent a wheel from scratch, but try to find out learnings of other projects. Try to go to the business management system of the organization or quality management system of the organization and go through the repository of closure reports. And about closure reports, I have already spoken to you in my previous video when we spoke about project life cycle, which is initiation, planning, execution and closure. So as a part of closure, you generate learnings, you document learnings of the project, what went right, what went wrong. Okay, so you try to go through the project documentation of the previous report, you try to see the learnings and then identify the risk which might be applicable to your project. Okay, next is resource planning. Resource planning is nothing but making manpower available. Okay, now if you have a bench in your organization, then you can easily get skilled manpower available. But many a times when a project gets awarded, you need to build a team, and that building of team might be as good as going to market and acquiring resources. So in that case, you will have to share your resource plan to your recruitment team. Now, why resource plan is important? And one of the reason is, you don't require all resources on day one when the project starts, because project gets executed in the life cycle. Okay, so typically, let's take a easier example again and not get into the complexities of software engineering. Okay, because that's not our focus. So if I have to take a easier example, we are delivering in waterfall model. So during requirements capture, probably I will need business analysts, I would need an architect and few designers. I don't need a coder actually available during my requirements phase. So I need to generate this resource plan, and based on that resource plan, when do I need people, at what point of time, what is going to be my peak team size, when is my team going to be lean. For example, when I am into probably testing phase, or when I get closer to deployment, I don't need all the developers during that phase. I actually need only those developers who are going to support my testing, who are going to support my deployment. Okay, so what is going to be my resource plan needs to be shared not only with the recruitment team but internal resourcing teams as well, so that they can fulfill my resource plan based on my requirement. Other thing is training plan. Now this is another very important thing, because you need to keep on motivating your resources if they fall short of some skills. While in the life cycle, if you notice that your resources are failing because of lack of some critical skills or some behavioral skills, okay, you need to arrange training for them and they can come up speed. Okay, now training plan is very important. You need to keep that. It would get evolved probably as you progress based on what feedback you get from your execution. Okay, another two important things which I have noted down here is software quality assurance. Now quality assurance activities are those activities which are going to assure the quality of your software. So testing is one of the most important activity, which is a assurance activity. But apart from testing, do you really envisage some other activities? And typically I have seen project manager requesting external teams, external help to come and do sample testing, to come and do a review of documentation plus review of code walkthrough, or do a code walkthrough. Okay, just to ensure that my teams are following the processes and developing a software which is as per quality. So fine, my testers have tested, but can I actually get an external team and ask them to identify 10% of the critical test cases and ask them to execute those 10% test cases and let them identify which test cases they want to execute? What happens is, when they execute, if they come up with some feedback, okay, which might expose my team, which is good, because instead of customer complaining on the quality, if my team gets exposed before actual delivery, I am happy and my objective is fulfilled. Okay, so such kind of activities would get planned as a part of software quality assurance. In fact, many a times managers also plan for audits, and those are simple quality audits. And quality audits objective is to not probably go into finding the bugs in software, but trying to find out whether process is followed properly or not. So all the reviews are happening, all the defects are getting logged, all the root cause analysis is done, all documentation is properly configuration managed, version controlled. So whatever tools we are using, whether tools are capturing proper evidences which can be produced if anything goes wrong. And let me tell you, as a software developer and probably delivery person, having experience in IT industry for almost 2.5 decades, I have come across situations where you might have to fight a legal battle as well. And I'm telling you the worst case, where your customer might go into court of laws and you might have to stand in front of arbitrator, putting across your case, that you have done all your job, and probably there were delays from the customer side. And at that point of time, let me tell you, such evidences play a very, very important role. It is always better that a project manager or a contract manager never has to open the contractual obligations. That is the best case scenario. Everybody wants to do that. But having said that, following process and capturing evidences are very, very important as we progress forward. In planning, you also need to find out what is the operational process that you are going to follow. And operational process means basically you need to define engineering phases that you are going to follow, along with that activities, and what is going to be the entry criteria and exit criteria of each of these phases. Again, just to give you an example, again I'm going to take a very simple example and not going into whether it's an object oriented or a spiral model or any complex model or agile model. Simple waterfall model. And when I lay down the entry criteria and exit criteria, I might say that unless I have a requirements document fully signed off by customer, I will not start my development activities, or I will not start my design activities. Well, in today's world, this is not acceptable, especially when you are delivering in agile. But just trying to give you an example and trying to explain what entry and exit criteria are. So if my software wants to be you want to deliver the software to test environment in which system testing would happen, the system testing team would expect software to be unit tested. They are not there to find out any aesthetic issues or spelling mistakes in the forms. Ideally all those things should be found in the unit testing. So when you spell down these criteria very, very clearly, you have your project team understanding those very clearly, and when they adhere to that, you are likely to deliver a software which is of good quality. So this is at the high level what project planning is. We have gone not too much into details, but yes, sufficient enough for us to understand what exactly planning phase is. And we have discussed a lot about this in my project life cycle video as well as in framework video. So if you want to go into details of life cycle, please do visit that video. And if you like this video, please do like and share it, and subscribe to my channel. And in my next video, I'm going to talk about a role of a project manager. Till then, bye.